I am in Staten Island, New York, right outside the Amazon warehouse, the giant JFK 8 Island Amazon warehouse, where I've been, I don't know how many times. It's probably my 7th or 8th time here covering workers who are trying to unionize. If you look over here, workers are gathering for kind of a mix of a rally slash trying to get workers who are coming out to sign up for the union. Right now there's a union drive going on. It's been going on in Staten Island since April. So this rally is about to start. Smash the like button, share this live stream so we can get this out to more people. The rally is going to address a whole lot of different topics, including the tornado that just rampaged through several states, including Illinois, where unfortunately 6 Amazon workers were killed in a Illinois Amazon center. Why that center was still open during a tornado, why those workers were still made to work, is a very, very good question, which Amazon has been rightfully getting a lot of criticism. Again, 6 workers died in this tornado. The building collapsed. This was in Edwardsville, Illinois. A text message came out after the fact. I'll read it to you, which is pretty infuriating, actually. Hold on. Yeah, so a text message came out from one of the workers who tragically died, Larry Verdin. He told his partner, Amazon won't let us leave during the tornado. And his partner said, all it's doing here is lightning. So what are you doing? I hope everything is okay. I love you. That was the text message exchange. But again, the worker who ended up dying, Larry Verdin, told his spouse, Amazon won't let us leave. And he was one of 6 who died. So if you turn around here, you see workers. Christian Smalls, who isn't currently employed but is one of the leaders of the union drive here in Staten Island, he's here. They have free pizza, which they're handing out to workers. That's been one of their common occurrences here, where the workers who are trying to form the union or get a union here in Staten Island, they bring free food out for workers, which obviously is a good way of making contact with other workers and trying to get them to sign union cards. There is an active union campaign going on right now. Hey, Brett. How you doing, man? Can I have you on for a second?
Yeah, of course.
So tell the audience, what's this event kind of about? I was told to me kind of like a mix of a rally and basic union stuff.
Yeah, so we're here right outside JFK for a shift change rally. We're really trying to highlight the importance of safety procedures at Amazon. They don't follow it. Constant, tragedies are happening, and Amazon's not taking the proper protocols, as well as amplifying the importance of the need for a union, to recognize the union here. So
to remind the audience, because I reported this, I don't know, last week. Time is a blur. You were recently arrested for unionizing or organizing. Cops came out, basically demanded to see your ID, and then you were handcuffed and taken to Staten Island, New York precinct, held for a few hours. Then the NYPD lied to me and said they didn't arrest you. Yep. So you've been pretty busy.
Yep, yeah, and the follow-up on that, today I went to the precinct, and the officer said basically if they took me in and I pointed to the holding cell that I was booked in, they said then that's an arrest.
So I wanted to ask you, obviously you guys are doing what you've been doing, the daily union drive, but this is happening just a couple days after 6 workers died in Edwardsville, Illinois. It's come out since that they were made to work. I was just reading to the audience that one of the workers tragically, this is just horrific. Larry Verdin, who died, texted his girlfriend or wife, sorry, I don't know if they were married, Amazon won't let us leave.
Yeah.
And he died. There's also talk now that Amazon is re-implementing a phone ban where they won't let workers bring in their phone. Kind of important if there's a tornado and weather emergencies. Just your initial reaction to, I mean, these workers were made to work during a tornado. Amazon's trying to pretend there wasn't much of a warning, but there were warnings of this tornado for days.
Yeah, Amazon says themselves that workers need their phones only for emergency use only. So if you note that, then in pandemic or not, you need a situation in an emergency. And in these emergency situations, they continue to choose profit over people and capital and keep their workers there or have them there in the first place. If they knew there was going to be a storm that was going to be severe, shouldn't have had them there in the first place.
And by the way, you guys know this well. It wasn't a tornado, but they kept the warehouse open during Hurricane Ida, which ravaged New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, all parts of the Northeast. I got videos sent to me that water was coming through the front door, but they kept the warehouse open.
Yeah, a worker literally lost their car driving here for fear of losing their own job, risk their own car and livelihood just to get to work.
And the Amazon CEO, not Bezos, whoever's the day-to-day CEO, even though Bezos basically runs this thing, he replied on Twitter, actually, to another worker who was saying that, you know, Amazon was telling him, no, you can't get time off for tornado or whatever. He said, oh, we'll deal with it. Sorry, you know, we'll get to the bottom of it. This is a rampant thing all throughout the country. It's not like this was the first. They've made workers work 24/7 through all sorts of things, including COVID. And by the way, video was sent to me. Images were sent to me last week. They supposedly have a mask mandate inside there, but it's very lax. There's not, not everyone's wearing masks, and I've been getting updates daily here with more people COVID positive.
Yep, every day we constantly get notifications, and I even called them out in the recent union busting meeting that they put me in, telling that they just took away our COVID barriers. So they removed our barriers and are lax on COVID procedures. And the day before, the New York State Attorney General filed a motion to force Amazon to re-implement immediately the COVID health and safety procedures, as well as reinstate Chris Smalls, the one who spoke out about all of this in the first place.
And I'll let you go, but lastly, just to remind people, it's kind of a big deal when a union organizer, technically we have laws in this country that protect union activity and, organizing. It's kind of a big deal. They arrested you the same week that they started holding these mandatory union busting sessions. I broke, status Coup broke. These sessions were every day, mandatory, half hour to 40 minutes. They had HR officials from out of state coming in to run them. Nonstop propaganda. Oh, it's a third party. Oh, they're not sanctioned, blah, blah, blah. But cops came and basically made you take down the blue tent that you guys have been using as your unofficial headquarters, even though they had no problem with that blue tent for months. So basically, it's pretty cause and effect that just when they started these daily mandatory sessions, which happened to be after Amazon Labor Union, which is the group you're with, of workers trying to form a union here, handed to the National Labor Relations Board your signatures. So it seems like they've accelerated things, are now arresting union organizers, then the NYPD is pretending they're not arresting union organizers, all while they're continuing their unsafe practices with COVID.
Yep, capital and state trying to maintain their power. People are trying to fight back, and they're doing everything they can to stop it.
Yes, because you guys kind of shifted, so you used to be across the street on a public sidewalk. Now you're kind of in the belly of the beast here. We're literally right next to the Amazon building. Why that change in strategy to be like right next to Amazon's building?
Yeah, we feel that this is just another one of their constant union busting strategies, constantly moving the bus stop. They actually, yesterday, we caught them doing both bus stops, so not even having proper communication with MTA, and that's supposed to be a public bus stop. So we say, okay, this is a public property, why not be here with the people?
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it. So that was Brett Daniels, who's part of the Amazon Labor Union. Amazon Labor Union, if you're not familiar, is the official name for the group of workers that's trying to get a union here in Staten Island. It would be the first unionized It would be the first unionized Amazon workforce in the country. And I mean, if you could turn around and show, they're strategically right near the bus stop where workers are coming off the bus for their shift, going on the bus after their shift, and they're trying to get workers to sign union cards. They need to. The Amazon labor union. The Amazon labor union needs to sign up at least 30%. They need to drop off at least 30% of the workforce here with yes cards, basically cards that workers, 30% of the workforce signing yes, where we want a union election. So that's what's going on here. It's very, very busy. There's going to be a bit of a makeshift rally starting, so that's why we came. Hey, Gerald. How you doing, man?
What's up, brother? How you been?
So Gerald, you're one of the workers that was fired early on during the pandemic, along with Christian. I wanted to ask you, I was just talking to Brett, this event right now is only a couple days after the Illinois warehouse collapsed, where workers died. They were working during a tornado, which pretty damn good question why Amazon had the warehouse open during a tornado. We know they've had this warehouse open during storms, hurricanes. What's your reaction to, 6 workers died? Text messages have come out that one of the workers who died texted his spouse saying they won't let me leave.
Well, just to set the record straight, the whole situation was horrible. There was no need for those people to be there. I feel that Amazon has done that when I was in the building as well. Like they've gathered us all together and supposedly a quote-unquote safe, secure area. But evidently that isn't, the truth of the matter. I mean, it's just horrifying. I think that all employees should be led home. The employees were trapped here during the flood earlier in the months out here this year.
Hurricane Ida, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, enough is enough. And yes, we are against it, and we are in our own way protesting, towards what they're doing. Enough is enough. When do our lives matter first? When do the employees that slave and make Jeff all his money, when do their lives matter? And that's...
Right after this, actually, right after that tornado collapse where 6 workers died, Bezos sent another one of his space shuttles.
Yeah, he sends another space shuttle up to space. He's got Strahan on there, all these people, and it's usually it's all a publicity thing if you want to talk about the space thing to me. I mean, I'm looking at the other guys, and there's so many miles ahead of him. I mean, he's trying to run up there, and you're running to the top of the atmosphere, and then you're parachuting back down while Musk and the others are floating around the damn globe itself. I mean, give it up. Invest your money back in your workers that make you money. You know what I'm saying? And let's come, to a civilized, agreement, so all can flourish. I mean, the way that, we're treated, these workers are treated, I mean, they're nothing more than 2 legs and 2 arms because they don't want your head. They don't want.
By the way, I'm getting, I have workers sending me every day more and more alerts of COVID positive workers in here. So COVID is spreading, yet they're keeping the warehouse open. From what I've been told, they have a mask mandate, but they're not really enforcing it.
No, they never enforced it. There are all types of things circulating around where you could see clutters and people are not masked up. The same things that here we are 2 years later almost fighting about the same thing that, got some of us terminated, like myself. The whole procedure towards COVID. And you're not doing it again. I mean, if they see you close like we are right now, they'll tell you, hey, you're terminated. That's to catch their back, but they're not really enforcing what needs to be enforced. If I'm suspected or maybe I'm sick during the day, I'm touching all the same things that, you're going to touch later on the next shift. You're going to touch the same computer screen and all that stuff too. How many people do they really have? What are they taking? What steps are they taking to make sure that, what I got is not transmitted to you through the screens and stuff, next shift? They're not taking any, I mean, it's the same thing. We're back at square one again. The same reason that we were fighting before, that's part of the reason we're out here again. There's no safety measures. There are, over the last 2 years, Amazon started telling people bring their own mask and gloves. Bring your own sanitizer. This is a place that's
One of the richest companies on earth is telling workers to bring their own sanitizer, their own gloves.
You know what? And I could understand it if it was a company such as Lords or London or someplace where they don't have that stuff. But this is where we get our supplies from. You supply the world. You supply the world. How are you not able to supply your own workers with the safety, with the PPE they need to work safe? I'm not understanding this.
Let me ask you, just because you've been one of the people, now a former worker, but you've been part of this union campaign for months.
Yeah.
Up until now, you guys have been across the street, because the main bus stop was across the street, but Amazon has been changing the bus route basically to throw off the union campaign.
Yeah.
So they moved it over here. So right now, we're basically right next to Amazon's main building, which is, by the way, 15 football fields, the size of 15 football fields, this whole warehouse. And you see, there's massive lines of people now. I mean, for the free pizza, but a bunch of them are signing up.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about right now, where do things stand with the union campaign? Because Amazon's been doing everything possible, mandatory daily union busting sessions. They've been firing a lot of workers, which obviously, you guys have to get a certain amount of signatures of yes to the union to get a union election.
We're doing well. I mean, make no mistake about it. Ever since this episode happened, after we filed and Jeff had his publicity mongers out there with my face on the cover, Amazon ALU withdraws. I'm waking up in the morning and I'm hearing we withdrew, and I'm like, we were outside busting our ass last night. What are you talking about? We withdrew, and come to find out that they fired 900 workers, so their votes don't count. See, and people should know.
I just want to say, these workers that are trying to form a union, they have to drop off 30% of the workforce. So 30% of the workforce has to sign yes for a union, and they got to drop off those cards. But Amazon's turnover rate is 150%.
Yeah.
So they're dropping off signatures of workers that voted yes for the union, but a lot of those workers got fired because Amazon's just hiring and firing like crazy.
Yes, exactly where I was going to go. Thank you. Because that's what they're doing. We have a revolving door here. Like I said, I've said it so many times before, it looks like a 1920s, 30s cartoon. People going in the front to work and people coming out the back. Broke down, no money, they're out of there. That's what Amazon does. They bring you in. Like I said, they don't want your thoughts. They just want your arms and your legs.
Take your cell phone.
And basically that. You work until you're broke up, and then they want you out. Go somewhere else. And that's the way it's always been here. People just haven't noticed. People need to take the time to really see clearly on what Amazon really is. I mean, it's modern day slavery at its best, and that's all it is. And they changed the bus stops, and we were over there, and they changed the bus stops. But one thing that they don't know about New York, or they're learning, every bus stop is public. It's not private. If it's New York City owned, it's public, not private. So when they rerouted us too, and thank you, you made it better for us. So now if they change it again, we all know it's union blocking, okay? Because now this is the safest route. Nobody's getting hurt coming this way. All the speeches on the road out there and everything. This is a better environment. Everybody's safe and they can get straight to their buses to get home. So if they do anything, thank you, Amazon, you knuckleheads. You know what I'm saying? You made it easier. And if you didn't, and you did this, we were going to walk over here anyway, so it didn't matter, So with that being said, we are doing fine. We will meet our goal, and we will be, there will be a union here. I don't give a shit what they tell you. That's just the bottom line. They got a bunch of people on their union busting that don't even know what a union is, and they're telling other people that we're gonna take their money, we're gonna do this, we're taking away their rights when they sign. Well, for all those people that are thinking about that, what are you doing when you sign one of their write-ups? You're signing, you're giving your rights up, so they can fire you or do whatever they want with you. That's what you're doing. That's the only way you're giving your rights up. We're here to defend the worker, the warehouse worker. We will walk side by side with you. We will meet the problem head on and we will settle it. And that's what we're about. We want a place where people don't have to go in the front door and walk out the back door 6 months later, you know, because that's the average workers stay here, 6 months. I mean, and that's good.
Let me show this. Thank you. Thank you, man. So that's Christian Smalls on the megaphone here. There's workers in and out of the warehouse right now, changing shifts.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now! You know what I'm saying? And if we don't get it,
shut it down.
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
one more time, we don't get it.
Shut it down.
Let me hear you, we don't get it.
Shut it down.
Let me hear you, we don't get it.
Shut it down.
What do we want?
Union.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
A union.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want? When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
A union.
When do we want it?
Now.
Huh? It's better. Hold on, folks. Hold on 1 second.
$30 an hour, y'all. $30 an hour. They're taking your cell phones. Sign up. $30 an hour, y'all. $30 an hour. That's what we fighting for.
So Christian right now is on the mic telling people $30 an hour. That's what we're fighting for. They're fighting for a union, and he's saying $30 an hour. And this is kind of, just so the audience knows, this is a lot different than the events we've covered, because this is right next to Amazon. Like, you could show the building. This is the warehouse. So they have been across the street for months with their blue union tent trying to sign up workers. But now they are right next to, basically on Amazon's doorstep. A lot more foot traffic with workers changing shifts, going into the warehouse, coming out of the warehouse. So they're getting a lot more people passing by. Literally 5 minutes ago, there was like stacks and stacks of more pizza boxes, and the pizza boxes are rapidly disappearing because workers are coming to get free food, and a lot of them were signing union cards.
Everywhere we go,
Everywhere we go,
people wanna know
people wanna know.
who we are. So we tell them
So we tell them
we are the union,
we are the union,
the mighty, mighty union,
the mighty, mighty union,
fighting for cell phones
fighting for cell phones
and $30 an hour.
and $30 an hour.
Who we are,
We are,
so we tell them
so we tell them,
we are the union,
the mighty, mighty union,
the mighty, mighty union,
the mighty, mighty union,
fighting for cell phones
fighting for cell
and
phones
$30 an hour.
and $30 an hour.
Everywhere we go,
So, just so you guys know what he's talking about, he's saying fighting for $30 an hour. So that's what they're starting. That's the starting hourly wage that the union is fighting for. But he's also talking about cell phones. Amazon, before the pandemic, had a policy that they were banning cell phones. Basically, workers either had to leave them in their car or in employee lockers, which you would drop it in your employee locker and then go through the metal detector. During the pandemic, they loosened the restrictions on workers having phones, so workers could have their phones, get updates on the pandemic, health health situations. Workers could communicate with family members about, obviously workers, you kind of need your phone to get updates on things like tornadoes, hurricanes, natural disasters, COVID, and things like that.
When do we want it?
Now!
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
let me hear you, we don't get it.
Shut it down!
Let me hear you, we don't get it.
Shut it down!
Yes, sir. You already know. Show me what community looks like. Show me what community looks like. Show me what democracy looks like.
Let me spit. Hey man, how you doing? This is Derek Palmer. He's one of the leaders of the Amazon Labor Union, which is, again, the workers group, the group of workers that are trying to form a union. I first wanted to ask you, I know you guys are out here for a lot of reasons today, but first, this tornado that killed 6 in Illinois, and a text message came out, one of the workers who tragically died texted his girlfriend or wife saying, they won't let me leave. You guys were made to work through Hurricane Ida, so you're not, this is not a surprise to you, I guess. But what's your reaction? I mean, they had a lot of warning that tornadoes were coming, and the workers were made to work. And according to him, he couldn't leave.
Yeah, you know, it's just unfortunate because that isn't the first time you hear of an incident like that. As far as workers having to come in during hard weather, you know, it's been happening since 2015. You know, every year that I can remember that it was a snowstorm or a hurricane, we still had to come in and work if it was our assigned day. So, you know, the fact that this time it took multiple workers' lives, it just shows how greedy this corporation is. You know, they'll do anything they can to get a dollar bill, even if it involves sacrificing their own workers' lives. And it's just really sad to see. And it just really makes us motivated more, you know, as ALU to continue our fight and make sure that we win this union, because, you know, the fact that they have this cell phone policy, this no cell phone policy, really, it irks me, because a situation like that of a tornado, this poor worker just reaching out to his wife, just telling them, you know, Amazon won't let me leave. And it's like almost like a cry for help. And there was no alternative for him, you know, and it's just so sad, you know.
You see the company, including the CEO, he posted on Twitter, like, yeah, you know, we're looking into what happened and blah, 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 blah. Almost like they're surprised by this, but they know it. I mean, this is their policy throughout the country. They also have been trying to re-implement a phone ban that they loosened. You know, they before the pandemic didn't let workers have their phones on the warehouse floor. Then during the pandemic, they loosened that because, you know, you guys need to know what's going on with the pandemic. But now it seems like they've been trying to re-implement it. That's a problem with tornadoes, hurricanes, just anything. Like, there's a new COVID variant. You know, obviously workers might want to look at updates. Can you kind of talk about the company is now basically trying to re-implement a phone ban, which in the case of tornadoes and other things is not wise.
Yeah, you know, it's just so sad. You know, they make it seem like to the public that they really care about us, you know, by trying to get rid of these policies, or temporarily for the phone, to make it seem like they care about us. But they're slowly creeping back because they must be losing money, or, you know, they're just getting tired of doing the right thing. That's what it seems like to me, because every time they do the right thing, it's always like just to cover up their image and make it seem like they really care for us and they're here for the frontline workers, when that's clearly not the case here. So it just makes it, like I said before, it motivates us even more to continue what we got to do, because having a union at this building, JFK 8, and, you know, just Staten Island period, will be so strong, and I know it's gonna resonate throughout the entire nation.
Can you kind of talk about, because it seems to me Amazon's been kind of cheating the system. You guys have been going since April. You dropped off to the National Labor Relations Board over 2,000 signatures last month. Yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of those signatures, Amazon fired those workers because turnover is so high here. Yeah. So it's like this hamster wheel where you keep getting workers to sign yes to the union, that through the union cards that you have to drop off to the NLRB. But Amazon's firing so many workers that technically they don't count.
Yeah, it sucks, because all this hard work that we're doing, it seems like, we're definitely getting a lot of recognition from the public, but it seems, it just sucks. It's like you're moving 4 steps forward just to head backwards, and it's really unfortunate the way Amazon is designed. We all know that it's designed this way, purposely to prevent unions, but we just got to keep pushing. Our group is full of strong-willed people, and we're going to continue to push no matter what. I think it's important.
I want to ask about the media too, because the media always seems to bend over backwards to even a New York Times piece that talked about some of the issues here during the pandemic. Really tried to give Amazon the benefit of the doubt, I thought. But at what point does the media say, Jesus Christ, they have the warehouse open during a tornado? Yeah. I reported last week that they fired one of your organizers while he was organizing, which is illegal as far as I know. Yeah. It just seems like this is kind of like, Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. At what point does the media stop basically pacifying and slobbering over Amazon? Because let's face it, Amazon is a sponsor of a lot of these media organizations. But you would think it would be a scandal in America when a major corporation like Amazon stays open with days of tornado warnings. But the stories have basically just been, hey, here's what happened, 6 workers died, move on.
Yeah, it sucks. I spoke to, a few media outlets, and they were saying that, when tornadoes form, it's very rapid, and there's not enough time to really prepare for it, but I think otherwise. Like you said, they had days prior notice to the tornado coming. So it just sucks. When it comes to Amazon, it seems like everyone wants to play it safe, including the media as well. There's only a few that don't really that aren't afraid to speak out, and it's just at this point we just got to keep going hard. I think that. With our case, me and Chris's case, Attorney General, the Attorney General of New York's case against Amazon, I think that's going to be very big. And us winning the union here, I think that's going to start some change, or at least start the conversation, because we showed and proved that organizing on the inside is really, really effective. And I just feel like once we motivate other workers to speak out, everyone's going to give in eventually. That's what I'm hoping for.
And can you kind of give the audience a little insight into what's going on in there now? Because I'm getting updates every day, just screenshots being sent to me, text messages you guys are getting. You have a COVID positive here, you have a COVID positive here, you have a COVID positive here. Yeah. Lots of COVID positive alerts. Mm-hmm. I've also been told that they technically have a mask thing where you're supposed to wear a mask, but people aren't really enforcing it. Yeah. So you got a new variant that seems to be a lot more infectious. We don't know yet whether it's more deadly, but we know it's easier to spread. Yet it seems like the safety protocols in there are not exactly so tight.
Yeah, and you mentioned the safety protocols aren't being followed, and that's not just the tier 1s. We're talking about management as well. They're walking around here with their their mask below their nose, below their mouth at certain times, to gather up with workers, and they're all in each other's faces all day. And, it's just crazy. Like, how can you try to implement rules but don't follow them? And, no one is saying anything about it because I feel like everyone's scared to speak out. But that's not the case with us. Everything that's been going on, eventually will get exposed. I'm not going to be quiet about it because I'm not going to sit around and act like, my safety is something to play around with, because it's not. And no one else should either. So, yeah.
My last question, I've covered a lot of stuff. It's as a reporter, it's not always easy to get people on the record. Mm-hmm. But I've never had such a challenge as I have with Amazon workers. Workers, I don't think people truly understand this. I have spoken with so many workers off the record, and the stories they have told me are horrifying. I mean, literally, I could probably win an award on some of these stories if I was allowed to report it. I don't care about awards, but you get the point. Some of this stuff is so beyond the pale, including Amazon. I don't want to get too into it because it was off the record, but Amazon literally, a worker was badly injured and Amazon chose not to call for help. But they won't go. I mean, a lot of these workers are terrified to speak to the media, to go public, to even tell anyone about incidents because a lot of them are younger, or they might not have finished high school or whatever the case may be. There seems to be a real culture of fear. The union is trying to break that. You workers are trying to break that. But there's so many workers who are deathly afraid of speaking up because of the culture here that if you speak up, gone.
Yeah, and that's the one of the challenges that we face. You know, just speaking with workers about the AOU and getting them to sign an authorization card, automatically they feel like they'll be fired, one, or two, have to pay a fee, which isn't true. So just really, that's something that we have to get over. You know, it's a huge mountain to climb, but it's nothing we can't win because we've already proven that we can get thousands of people to support us. You know, it's been a challenge getting over the captive audience meetings.
Those are basically the union busting meetings.
Yeah, the union busting meetings, and you know, I've been in actually two of them, and of course I'm able to challenge the union busting. All they claim they're facts, but they're clearly not facts about the union, and you know, that's good and all, but on a large scale, if everyone, you know, 5,000 plus workers are going into these meetings, eventually someone's going to get their opinion swayed. If someone, you know, actually supported the AOU, they're going to think twice. And that's what Amazon's trying to distill in workers because that's what they do. You know, mentally, they have workers on lockdown. All right. And it's our job to free them. And that's what we're doing.
Let me ask you, you're a mild-mannered guy, so I'll say this. Where the hell is AOC, Jamal Bowman, elected progressives? I mean, AOC went to Buffalo. She was on the ground there with the workers trying to unionize. Credit to them. They were just successful, forming the first ever Starbucks union in America. AOC was there for that. I mean, I'm not putting it all on her, but Jesus Christ, she's got however many millions of Twitter followers. Jamal Bowman's a congressman here. Chuck Schumer's pretending to be progressive these days. Have they been I mean, I was supposed to cover a protest once where they were supposed to be here. They canceled last minute. I think it would help your efforts greatly if you could get politicians with massive platforms on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. I'm not really down with the pop culture, but they seem silent. And it also seems to, if they would speak up, more of a microscope would be put on what Amazon. For God's sakes, they arrested one of your workers who was organizing. They're not following COVID protocols. Why do you think that is? That they're pretty much. I mean, I don't even see tweets from them about this.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, me and Chris, we actually met AOC in D.C. and she told us, you know, that she supports us 100% after we told her, you know, our story about how we've been organizing, trying to form a union. And she said that she would come out here, and last minute just backed out. It's been silent ever since. So I don't know what it's about, but, you know, just her name alone rings bells. You know, I've spoken to so many workers inside who know absolutely nothing about politics. But when I mention AOC's name, they know AOC. So that alone could change, you know, that could literally alter the perspective of AOU, and it could really help us out. It's just sad to see that, you know, they choose not to, because it's not like they're not aware. They're fully aware of what's going on. Like, the politicians are aware. You know, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're in the district. So why are they not here? You know, it's just sad and unfortunate. But at the end of the day, you know, we can't waste our time worrying about why they're not here. We just got to continue to do what we got to do. Honestly, I feel like once we actually file, once we actually get an actual vote, I think that's when they'll come. I think they'll try to ride the bandwagon and come when we do all the hard work, but instead of supporting us in the beginning, which they should have.
Well, that's the problem. It's a David versus 10 Goliaths just to get the union vote, to get to get that go-ahead that you could hold an election. So you need people that can amplify your campaign during the campaign, not after. I mean, people will say, well, Jordan, technically she doesn't represent Staten Island. So what? This is New York. This is New York City. Like, this is one of the biggest warehouses in the country. It's the size of 15 football fields. So she don't need to represent this specific district. She represents New York. And most importantly, credit to her. I mean, she fought against Amazon getting tax breaks to move to New York. So she fought for that, but for some reason, kind of MIA with your campaign. And I can tell you, I mean, I've seen it. The Starbucks workers, I mean, not that their task was easy, but they were just doing 3 stores. And those 3 stores did not have 7,000 workers. So, it was a little different of a task to try and successfully unionize 3 stores in Buffalo. Credit to them. It was not easy what they did at all. But this is a different task. Real quick, on the broader scale, you see all these strikes, John Deere in Iowa and Illinois, the Nabisco strike, Frito-Lay, the Alabama coal miners, the hospital workers in Massachusetts have been on strike for 8 months at St. Vincent Hospital. I can't keep up. There's a different strike going on all the time. But I think people kind of maybe take for granted the reason a lot of those strikes were successful is they had a union. They were a unionized workforce, which gave them the foundation to strike, strike pay, some form of health care they could get from their union. So tell the audience, why is it so important to have a union as Amazon workers? Because it's obviously different than the strikes that are going on.
Yeah, all the companies you name, there's a lot of workers, but compared to Amazon, it's nearly not enough. So you can possibly have 7,000 workers striking. That could change history, and that can grow. That can have multiple buildings striking as well. So thousands and thousands and thousands of workers striking. That could really change the culture for essential workers. Like not just Amazon workers will be influenced by this, but just all essential workers in general. Because Amazon is such a large company, so much scrutiny around Amazon, and people seems like everyone's just waiting for Amazon to take a big fall for them to finally step up and speak out. So us, I guess we're the guys that got to set the tone, and I know we're going to do it. So we got to just continue.
I lied. One more question. I know I keep you too long. I keep you. Straight up, should Jeff Bezos, the CEO, executives at that level, should they be criminally investigated for what happened in Illinois? I mean, 6 people died. Should Bezos, he went, he had another space mission the next day, literally sent Michael Strahan and others to space after 6 workers died. But should there be criminal, because right now OSHA is investigating, but that's not necessarily criminal. Should there be a criminal investigation into what Amazon knew, whether warnings were ignored, and what was the dynamic? Did they require workers to stay?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you think about it, if it was a mom and pop store who went through that same situation, they would be investigated as well. So I don't feel like anyone should not be held accountable because of their name and their power. Everyone should be held accountable. People lost their lives, and on top of that, you have proof that workers were told not to leave the facility. And I know that it's supposed to be safer to stay in a facility during a tornado, as they say. But if you don't have any shelter for them to stay, then how is it safer? So, a lot of questions need to be answered, and it starts with an investigation, and it should be with Jeff Bezos and Amazon, definitely.
Thanks, Ben. How could people support Amazon Labor Union, which is the group you're a leader of that's trying to get a union here?
Yeah, they can follow us on Twitter, Amazon Labor, also on Instagram, ALU, Amazon Labor Union, also TikTok. We just started our TikTok, Amazon Labor Union on TikTok as well.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Let me see. Hey, Connor, you're available for a minute? So, we during the interview, the march went past us, so hopefully they come back. I'm here with Connor, who is another worker here and member of the Amazon Labor Union. I've been talking to folks. I just wanted to get your initial reaction, because to me it's kind of scandalous that Amazon had the warehouse open during a tornado. Yeah. There's all this nonsense of, tornadoes could happen, you don't know the trajectory, and there wasn't that much warning. I mean, there's been plenty of reporting that there was plenty of warning of this tornado, and tragically, one of the workers who died, there's a text message he sent to his wife saying, "They won't let me leave." You guys aren't strangers to that. You were made to work during Hurricane Ida, during snowstorms. What's your reaction to, what honestly sounds kind of scandalous?
I mean, it's anybody who's worked here long enough when there's been hazardous weather knows that they never close this building. Doesn't matter how bad the weather is. So I've driven to work in blizzards where I can't even see out my front window. In August, we had those 2 hurricanes back to back, and I wasn't affected, thankfully, but there are people I know who, they lost everything in that storm, and they still had to come to work the next day through these flooded roads. I know a manager whose car was flooded, and he couldn't even get to work, but they still made everybody come in, and it's part of their whole, we can never shut down, especially not during peak. They got to make money, and it doesn't really matter what we have to say about it. We have no power in that.
Peaks the holiday season?
Yes.
And let me ask you, right now there's been a lot of focus put back on the fact that they're trying to re-implement a phone ban where workers can't have their phones. Kind of important to have your phones to get updates on tornadoes, hurricanes, a pandemic. Can you kind of talk about, it seems like they've been trying to loosen COVID restrictions and re-implement pre-pandemic things like a phone ban.
Yeah, so before COVID, you couldn't have your cell phone in the building. You had to leave it in your car or in a locker. During the pandemic, there's a lot of people, number one, the turnover is so high here that there's people who work here with their phones and they don't even know what it's like to not have their phone in there. And I don't know, do you want me to wait for him to finish?
Yeah, what's up?
I'll holler at Felipe real quick.
Sorry, hold on.
Last little one real quick. Who shut shit down?
We shut shit down.
So this whole pandemic, we've had our phones, and we still broke records in this building. We're like the top performing building in the network, and across Amazon, Amazon is still outperforming expectations. The stock price is still going up, and the thing is, they would like this to be like a prison. You come in and you're pretty much disconnected from the outside world. But people are really accustomed now to the fact that they can have their phones, they can connect with their families on the outside. If there's an emergency, they have their phone with them. They don't have to be completely disconnected from everybody for their 10 or 12-hour shift. And especially in the case of the hurricane, there were workers who were in that building who didn't get the notification on their phone that they were in the path of in the tornado. They didn't get the notification that they were, at risk of being in the path of the tornado. So it's a big part of the reason that we're fighting to keep our cell phones, because everybody agrees that it's completely ridiculous to expect us to leave them outside, because we've proven that we had them in the building, the operations didn't shut down, we still broke records, the company still functions.
And also, I've had workers just sending me screenshots on a daily basis. COVID alert, another worker's positive, another worker's positive. So, if you don't have your phones, how are you supposed to know what is the COVID situation? How many alerts are coming a day with your coworkers testing positive, to then find out, I know Amazon doesn't tell you specifically who they are, but don't you need to know during a pandemic, now there's a new variant spreading, how many positive cases there are per day here?
Yeah, so that's a big part. That's really the only way we get notified of COVID cases is through notifications on the app. And to be honest, they're not even that clear. It's really hard to tell sometimes how many cases they're reporting, because they don't give us a running total of how many cases are in the building. They don't tell us how many cases there have been, how many people have died, because if they told us that, it would allow workers to make an accurate risk assessment of whether or not it was safe for them to come into work. So
that's another scandal. It came out that they hid 20,000 cases during the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. So our phones are really the only way that we can get those notifications, and I don't really know how we're gonna get those notifications. We can access them on the outside, but we really need up-to-date information to really know if the working conditions in there are safe.
Can you kind of tell the audience, I think they look at the Starbucks workers that were just successful, which they deserve a lot of credit. In Buffalo, they formed the first Starbucks union, and they don't really get the differences. Starbucks in Buffalo, is 3 stores. This is a massive warehouse with over 7,000 workers, and Amazon has like 150% turnover rate. So you could get a ton of people to sign cards, yes, pro-union, and drop off the cards at the National Labor Relations Board, which you guys did in November, but Amazon's firing so many of the workers that end up signing yes, that the NLRB said, no, there's not enough current workers here. Can you kind of talk about what you guys are up against? Because you're getting people to sign the cards that they're interested in a union, yet they're firing so many workers.
Yeah, I mean, well, Jeff Bezos 20 years ago, he built Amazon to be that way intentionally. He built it to be a big middle finger to labor law. The 150% turnover it's there exactly so that you can't organize the workers, so that we're, at any given time, we're fungible, we're replaceable, we're very weak and divided, we have no power. And, when you come in and you try to get cards signed, you have to get them signed faster than people quit or get fired. And so in this building, for instance, with 6,000 workers, 150% turnover, that means in a year they'll churn through 10,000 people. And that makes it really, really hard for us to, for anybody really to hit that 30% threshold that the board needs for a showing of interest. But what's interesting with the board is that really when you're petitioning to have a union election, all you need to do for them is demonstrate that there is interest here, because they want to see, like, when they come and hold an election, they're going to spend taxpayer money, they're going to deal with all the litigation from the company, they want to know it's worth their time. So I think that as companies like Amazon become more commonplace and their business model of high turnover is more common, the board kind of needs to modernize a little and have alternative ways of recognizing when there's interest in a workplace for a union election, because in our situation it's very hard for us as worker organizers, we're a worker-led union, to take on a company as big as Amazon with the resources that they have, and they don't care about the law at all, so the illegal union busting that they do, they need to be able to find a way to work with us workers, which is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to protect workers, and help us through the process. When there's interest for a union election, work with us to, on good faith, we're trying to demonstrate that, and, not stick so much to the 30% threshold, because, it's impossible. Nobody's really had a lot of success with that, not the RWDSU and not the Teamsters either.
The 10,000 workers that they're churning through, basically hiring and firing in a year, that's quite different than the TV commercials with the rainbows and sunshines. Yeah. I keep seeing this one commercial with this guy who, I don't know, Amazon put him through school, nursing school, and now he's a nurse, and the commercial ends with him on the beach, happy, looking at the sun. I mean, what you're describing is a lot different. It just seems basically like a hamster wheel, just hire, fire, hire, fire.
Yeah, and it's funny because when Amazon comes to build a warehouse in a community, they boast, we're going to create X number of jobs. Here they say, we're going to create 10,000 jobs. It's going to be great for the community. But if you are creating a job where the worker stays on average 4 months, and every year you churn through 10,000 people, you're not really creating jobs, and you're not helping the community. You're sapping energy out of the community to create profit. And so that's why when Amazon comes in these communities and offers to build a warehouse, really what is happening is they're making a deal with the devil, and it's creating more instability in the community than anything. And so, that guy on the beach, whatever, that hasn't been the experience of most people who come to work for Amazon.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was Connor. He's one of the workers who is part of the Amazon Labor Union. And if you just turn around that way, Christian Smalls and a couple other workers are still kind of marching along the warehouse. This is the main warehouse that they're marching to and from. It's the size of 15. It's the size of 15 football fields. And Christian is the subject of the New York State Attorney General Letitia James's lawsuit against Amazon. She sued Amazon for their breach of COVID safety protocols and for firing Christian illegally in retaliation against Christian. Christian worked for Amazon and was fired in the beginning of the pandemic for the crime of trying to get organized workers against Amazon's very, very unsafe working conditions. By the way, I haven't looked, but super chats are welcome, so thanks for the super chats if you're sending them in. And also, please sign up as a Status Coup member to support this on-the-ground reporting. There's a whole lot of other channels pontificating and doing hot takes 24/7. There's not a lot of them actually out here with the people as much as Status Coup is. We are here to give the microphone back to the people, to show you what's going on the ground. It's not cheap. There's a lot of costs associated with reporting on the ground. So please support us. Statuscoup.com/join. You could support us for as low as $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join. And once you become a member, you get great perks as a member, including a monthly members call through Zoom, which we do through Zoom with our members, behind the scenes photos from our reporting, and behind the scenes videos.
Workers' blood shall run there, no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. One more time. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity, comrades! Thank you.
So that was one of the union organizers singing a common union song. I've actually heard it all over the country. I heard it in Detroit, actually, when I was there a couple years ago. After General Motors laid off 15,000 workers, I was at the Union Hall, and they sang that Solidarity song. By the way, General Motors laid off 15,000 workers after getting a $51 billion federal bailout. So, you know. Oh, by the way, speaking of the federal government, if you haven't been noticing today, President Manchin has now basically killed the Build Back Better Act. The Build Back Better Act was a joke anyway. It was stripped down basically to nothing, and the only thing worth it in there was universal pre-K, which isn't even universal. Reporting has shown that the universal pre-K actually is kind of convoluted, but wouldn't actually be universal, and a lot of the states wouldn't implement the universal pre-K. But Manchin is now trying to strip the child tax credit out of the Build Back Better Act. So unfortunately, we are seeing that the progressives who voted yes on the infrastructure deal, with the promise from President Biden that I will get Joe Manchin's vote, suckers. They got hoodwinked, and now it doesn't look like we're getting the Build Back Better Act anytime soon. Also, the child tax credit that was signed during the COVID relief bill in January, that one-year child tax credit where families were going to get a couple $100 per child, which experts said cut child poverty in half. That's expiring soon. Want some more? The student loan repayment. The Biden administration is now expediting that to restart, for federal student loan repayment to restart in February. And the PRO Act, which would be a major plus for union organizing, would probably help Christian Smalls, these Amazon workers, actually in their union campaign. It would give much stronger union protections to workers, actually have teeth to go after union busters like Amazon and Starbucks. That's kind of stalled. So basically the Democrats are ensuring, in my view, a Republican tsunami in 2022 in the midterms, and probably our next president being a Republican, and growing authoritarian and fascism, brought to you by the Democratic Party, who refuses to actually legislate, even provide overwhelmingly popular policies that would, say it with me, get them reelected if they provided these overwhelmingly popular policies. But I digress. That's off topic. So before we wind down, just to kind of show you again, when we started, there were way more stacks of pizza boxes. So that's one of the things that the union organizers and the workers here at Amazon Staten Island warehouse have been doing. They've been bringing out free food for the workers to eat during the summer, during the fall, now during the winter. And it's a good way not only to feed workers, but to get workers to come up to the table, to find out what the union campaign is about, to get them to sign union cards. So we're going to continue covering this. You know, it's not the sexiest story. It certainly doesn't go viral like drama and, you know, this Twitter host, this YouTube host fighting with this YouTube host, and, you know, whatever Glenn Greenwald is trending about, because it seems Glenn Greenwald's constantly my number one trending topic for whoever he's fighting with. But I think this is one of the most important stories in the country, because make no mistake, and I'm not at all trying to minimize Starbucks' success. They won a historic victory in Buffalo, the first unionized Starbucks in America. Now there's other Starbucks in other states formally starting their union campaigns, including Massachusetts. Starbucks just filed for a union, and I believe Arizona is also doing that. But Amazon's a whole different beast. If these workers could even get a union election here in New York, I believe that they would become the first unionized Amazon. And if you could get one unionized Amazon, the domino effect that would have, not just for other Amazons, but just for workers, period, it cannot be stated enough, the effect that would have on workers across America. Because if workers could do it at an Amazon, particularly an Amazon the size of 15 football fields with over 7,000 workers, that's holding mandatory daily union busting sessions, that's rerouting the bus routes so that the union will have to keep moving their location, that's arresting union organizers. I interviewed one of the workers who's one of the organizers with Amazon Labor Union who was arrested a few weeks ago. If they could successfully unionize here with all those obstacles, it is going to energize and kind of give that validation to other workers. Let's try to do it where we are. Not just Amazon workers period. New York, and by the way, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but you got to also call out the National Labor Relations Board, which is supposed to have laws that protect workers' right to unionize, is supposed to penalize companies that break labor law. Well, I don't know. I just broke a few weeks ago that they arrested a worker who was doing protected organizing. He was literally with Christian and others handing out food. When they came up to him, they asked for his ID, he wouldn't give it, and then they put him in handcuffs and brought him to a precinct. I don't know, shouldn't the National Labor Relations Board do something about that? Not to mention that Amazon, I spoke with workers who are inside the building saying, yeah, no, they're not really enforcing the COVID safety protocols. I'm getting photos sent to me every day of, you know, these workers get text messages when there's a new COVID positive alert. What are they? It doesn't seem like they're doing a lot here. And they are holding mandatory daily union busting sessions. They were holding those sessions in November into December. So, and the National Labor Relations Board, one of the workers I spoke to mentioned it, they need to have some provisions so that companies like Amazon can't game or cheat the union process. They brought in over 2,000 signatures signed by workers that wanted a union election. Problem is, Amazon is firing so many workers that the NLRB said, well, yeah, you have a lot of signatures here, but over half of them are not even with the company anymore. Well, how are you supposed to get enough signatures? They need to reach the 30% threshold, 30% of workers in the warehouse, if they're just churning and burning workers. So there has to be some other measure then if the company's just going to keep hiring and firing. So we'll continue covering this for sure. If you can, please support us. Statuscoup.com/join. $5 a month, 16 cents a day, by the way. $5 a month helps us get back on the ground. A couple days ago, we covered. I'm kind of losing track. What did we cover? Oh, we covered the Assange rally the other day in New York City. Covering this, I'm sure there's other stuff we'll be covering in the next week or two. We obviously want to get back on the road and cover more things, but we need you. We need support. If you haven't noticed, we haven't done a scientific study. When we put Amazon in the headline, when we put Julian Assange in the headline, pooh! the views collapse. There was 100% keywords here on YouTube against Julian Assange, Amazon, and a whole other range of stories that they do not want widely shared. These videos and live streams are not recommended. They don't show up in people's feeds. They are buried in YouTube's algorithm. I mean, it's not just us, by the way. If you look at other channels, Julian Assange, Amazon, their views are lower too. That's a scandal in itself, because we have an information war in this country, and they are burying and trying to hide. YouTube, owned by Google, and other platforms are trying to hide what Amazon is doing. They're trying to bury what's going on and being done to Julian Assange, and that's criminal in itself. So please support us any way you can. Statuscoup.com/join. We also now have, if you're already a member and have it within your budget, there's now a way to do a gift membership. We just sent out an email we're sending out an email about that tomorrow. So you could give the gift of Status Coup this holiday season and sign up a friend or a family member for a gift membership. I shouldn't have said that because I don't know how you do it. Look out for the email, or Colin, if you could put the link in the super chat for the gift membership, that would be really great. Hold on. I'll just ask Colin before we wrap. We're very polished here. Hold on. Is there a link for the gift membership that I tell the audience? Okay. So yeah, you go to statuscoupmember.com/store. Statuscoupmember.com/store. And you could give the gift of a year membership at the $5 level or the $10 level if that's within your budget. Totally understand it. If it's not within your budget, if it is within your budget, statuscoupmember.com/store. We're going to wrap up here, but again, sign up, statuscoup.com/join, $5 a month. You see a lot of the other news outlets out here with the people? I sure don't. You see a lot of other news outlets on the ground covering the political imprisonment of Julian Assange? I don't. I see a lot of people giving hot takes. I don't see people on the ground covering these things. I don't see a lot of people talking to the workers in Staten Island and continuing to cover their union fight. So please support us, statuscoup.com/join. Also, tomorrow we'll have an interview posted in the morning with Shama Sawant, the Seattle City Council member, who just, it's not official, but looks like she's about to win the fight against her recall election. There was a recall election to try and get her out of office. Guess who was supporting that? Amazon. She just won. I interviewed her earlier today, so we're going to post that tomorrow. That's Shama Sawant. So thank you for watching. And once again, if you can, statuscoup.com/join. Have a good night.